so all my skill toys have been on this shelf, and this isn't the situation I really want, so I've decided to put a really big shelf along this wall that's not too deep, that'll hold all my skill toys and everything else. So what I've done is I've bought the wood to do it. It's a lot of wood. I bought 11 16-foot 2x8s, cut 9 of them into 11-foot sections, which gave me 9 5-foot sections, and I got 2 cut into 4 7-foot sections. These 7-foot ones are going to be the ends of the shelves, and the big ones, the 11-foot and the 5-foot, are going to be the shelves. So my living room right now is kind of a mess. I'm gonna have to clear all this, and I don't want to just use wood, even though I could. Typically I wouldn't paint stuff, but what I've done is I bought 100 or so wood screws. I've got a can of black matte paint and some purple paint that I got mixed, and I've got some brackets that I'm going to use to keep the shelves from tilting over, so those will go into the wall just as a safety precaution. So what I have to do first is paint all this. The idea, these are the only 2 pieces of wood that I'm not going to use. These were extra, so what I'm going to do is paint this black and paint the edges purple. So I'm going to have to go through all this wood, pull all these staples out and stuff. So this is a pretty big project, and I think I should probably start by painting all of this first. So that's step 1, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've pulled all the staples out of all the wood. I've checked all the proper edges, the good edges, and I've faced them all up. So now I'm going to paint the purple edges first. So let's do that real quick. Alright, I've got all the edges painted purple right now, and I'm going to let them sit out here in the sun so they can dry up, and then we'll move on to black. Alright, so I have painted most of it, but I didn't want to mess up the purple edges, so I've got to go with a better brush and go down all the edges, and then I'll be very close to being able to put it together. So I'm gonna do that. Alright, so I'm done painting the edges, and now there's a slight problem that I knew I was gonna run into with these guys, the 7-foots. These are what's holding all the shelves up, and if you can see, I'm not going to have it flush against the wall, and that's what I want. Because of this molding here, I'm gonna have to cut a notch into this so that I can push it against the wall completely. So I've cut this piece of paper out as a test, and that's my guide reference, and I'm going to cut these things. So with my little guide that I cut out, I can mark with a paint marker the line that I need to chop out. Boom. And now I gotta do that 3 more times. But let's check it, make sure it's good. Got a little dusty. And just like that, it's a spot on, good fit, flush against the wall. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Alright, so I just put on the top and bottom shelf to see if it works, and it works great. It's a little wobbly, but once I put the other shelves on here, it'll probably eliminate that, and that's what the brackets are going to be for, to hold it against the wall so it doesn't shake. But so far so good. Basically what I'm doing is I'm measuring out these pieces and where to put them on the inside at the distance that I want, and then drilling them in. And I have a lot to do, so I'm just gonna skip to me finishing this one. Alright, so I finished the short one first, and it came out great. And now I gotta do the massive one. This one's gonna be pretty hard, and it's gonna be really hard to lift up because this one's hard to lift. So this one is going to fit 11 feet across this wall, which will be pretty cool. This one's gonna be tough work. Alright, so this was very hard to prop up, and as you can see from it sliding on the floor while I was putting it together, I scuffed it in some places, like kicking these in to make them level. I've scuffed the sides and all that, so I'm gonna touch this up to finish it, but pretty much the shelf and those two brackets in the top keep it from leaning forward and keep it from shaking. So that's all I had to do is put these in. I might put extras in, but I just have these two for the other shelf that I'm gonna put right here. This took way longer than I thought. I'm gonna touch up the scuffed parts and move things around so I can put the other shelf here. So I thought this was good. This project was supposed to take a couple days. It's become a couple of weeks. Alright, I finished them, and right now it's not organized in any sense. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I thought I was going to put this shelf in the middle, but in the middle with the table against the wall, the shelf was like poking out in front of the window, which I didn't like, so I decided to put it here, which makes this more open. But yeah, these came out pretty good. I have more than enough room for my juggling toys, and that's really what this one was made for. This whole wall is just for object manipulation. And the way I'm going to organize it is I'm going to put most of the toys that I don't use as much against this side, and then the toys that I use often over here. So I'm sure this will always be changing. I got enough space to add a lot more. I'm gonna have to go through it and make it look nicer. And then this side right now just has my Nerf guns and stuff, a TV right in the middle of the window, which I'll probably change at some point, but I had nowhere else to put that screen. And I got this table from work because they didn't need it, and these wooden tables are hard to find. All this worked out pretty good. It's a pretty good juggling room, I'd say. I spent, like, we'll just say under 300 bucks to make these shelves. I had to get a second can of paint. I might need to get some more shelf brackets. I haven't hooked these there yet because I don't know if it's necessary to screw this in yet. This one I screwed in, so this doesn't budge at all now. There's no wobble to it. But yeah, these are my shelves. Took me a couple weeks to put together, but it was worth it in the end, and it really widened up this space. I wanted to keep my living room pretty much empty for the most part because I'm going to juggle in here. And I'm sure all this will change throughout time. I just set it up. I've literally been here for a couple months, so I've never dealt with this much space on my own. And before getting here, I knew this was going to be relatively empty for the most part, because I have another project where I'm going to put essentially a blackout box in this entire room so I can film. I mean, of course I would have to move things like the chair and TV and stuff, but essentially this whole space will be black for filming. This thing was insane to lift off of the ground. Thought I was gonna die. I basically had to lift it with my fingertips and shove things under it slowly to get it higher. And then once I got it up, it was so much weight that I just had to go for it and push it up to get it against the wall. But this thing is extremely heavy, but durable and worth it. I think this is gonna be a pretty good shelf, and the bonus wood from cutting for this made this one, which is cool. So now I have ample space.